Good evening. Thank you for your patience with us. We're delayed a little bit, and if you all remember Mrs. Green, she had an accident a while ago. I'd like to ask Jeremy to lead us in prayer for her. We can do an invocation in just a minute. But I am Greg Ferris, President of the Board of Trustees, and we do have a quorum present, and this meeting has been scheduled and appointed as required by law. The monthly meetings are open to the public. Although these meetings are public, comments and questions to the audience will be confined to the time designated for citizens to address the board. Thank you for being here, and if you would rise, and like Jeremy Suter, he is pastor at Family Cathedral Church, and we're glad to have you tonight. Lead us in our opening prayer, please.
Let's pray. Father, we lift up Mrs. Barbara Green before you, God. We just pray that your hand be upon her, that the injuries will be minimal, that there'll be no swelling, that there will be no permanent issues with that, and that there'll be no head trauma, memory loss, none of that. And we just lift her up to you, that your hand be upon her. God, I thank you for this wonderful school district. I thank you for a district that still allows ministers to come in and pray before a board meeting. Father, I just thank you for your hand being upon this school district. All schools, all employees, all staff, all parents, be with them, protect them, and guide them. Give this leadership wisdom in Jesus' name. Amen.
We are excited to have you all here tonight. We do have lots of recognitions as you can look around the room. Lots of things to celebrate tonight. First, we'll start with our Students of the Month. At this time, we'll have to ask Mr. Michael Jung, principal from North Forney High School, and then Ms. Christy Mott, principal of Henderson Elementary, as they would come and introduce their Students of the Month.
All right, good evening, Dr. Terry and Board of Trustees. Thank you for the opportunity to recognize one of our best at North Forney High School. This is Gustavo Rubio. Gustavo is the son of Gustavo Rubio Sr. and Yesenia Rubio. He is the older brother to Alejandro Rubio, who is a junior at North Forney High School. This past August, during teacher in-service training, Coach Luster had his football players speak to our faculty to encourage them for the upcoming school year. After hearing Gustavo speak to our staff, I leaned over to several around me and stated, Gustavo is going to be the future president. His maturity, poise, articulation, and presence exuded confidence with genuine humility, determination, and a clear purpose and direction for life. That is who he is without fail. You may have seen Gustavo on the news recently. He was featured on NBC5, WFAA, and the 126 podcast. Coach Weaver, where are you at? Shout out to Coach Weaver and Coach Oliphant. He was on these news stations and this podcast for his heroic efforts in the cafeteria earlier this spring. While a student was choking, he jumped into action and began performing the Heimlich maneuver, ultimately saving the life of a fellow Falcon. CBS, yes, you guys want to recognize him. So, shout out to CBS, not our favorite news station, but just a news station of many. And I actually love CBS just because of Keith Russell and just the kind of stories he does. CBS will be sharing this story sometime tomorrow morning between 5 and 7 a.m., so please check it out. And it's got interviews with Gustavo, the student he saved, and some of our wonderful school staff. Gustavo is a hero, a dedicated academic all-state student athlete, captain of the football team, Be the One nominee, and an all-around stud. Here is what his teachers say about him. This is Coach Tommy Sparks. Gus is a one-of-a-kind kid, kind-hearted, helpful, caring. He speaks every time he walks in the hall and is about the most respectful kid I've been around. Works hard to be a good person, you can see it. His parents have done a tremendous job in raising him, and it shows in everything he does. Probably the best compliment I can give is I've coached and taught for 23 years. I've come across 4 to 5 kids that I would pray are the types of young men each of my 3 daughters end up with. Gustavo is on that very short list. Dr. Dobbs says, there are not enough words to express the character of Gustavo Rubio. He is the kind, considerate, respectful, hardworking, reliable, and focused young man. At the beginning of the school year, I told him how much I appreciated his attitude, behavior, and diligence. His response was, I just want to be an example to the other kids. And of course he is. Gus is just that kind of person. I love him. Coach Kelsey Garner, in my 10-plus years of teaching, I have never had another young gentleman like Gus. He's the most moral, positive, and polite student I've ever had the pleasure of teaching. He constantly not only strives to do his best, but pushes those around him to rise up and meet him as well. I've seen him help others, counsel others, and make sure no one is left behind. I think we would all benefit from striving to be like Gus. I got two more, y'all. Ms. Cabanis, Gustavo is a joy to teach and has been a stellar government and economics student. The first meeting of the Young Investors Club included the election of officers, and who was chosen as president? Well, that was Gustavo. I have no doubt that one day we will all address Gustavo as Mr. President. And lastly, Coach Luster's here in attendance in support of Gus as well. He says, a leader is who he is. He was voted captain of the football team, this year's team MVP. He's a definition of this. He has shown us that we can trust him to act. He has a heart for his fellow students. He is intentional about his career choice, and he will always strive to serve. We are so proud of Gustavo and how he models true north in all he does. He has a bright future ahead of him as a firefighter, and many of his firefighters that he works with are here to support him. We know that he will continue to positively impact those lives that he serves and interacts with daily. As Coach Gardner stated, we should all strive to be like Gus. Let us all recognize him at this time.
Good evening. Thank you to the Board of Trustees and Dr. Terry for allowing me to introduce and recognize the Elementary Student of the Month. It is with great pleasure I present to you a Henderson fourth grader, Masanje Dugali. Masanje is the daughter of Ahmed and Masanje and a big sister to Hawa, who is here with us today. Masanje is an extraordinary student inside and outside of the classroom. Two qualities her teachers bragged on that she demonstrates in the classroom, and they stand out the most when they're thinking of Masanje, are effort and honesty. She gives her best effort in her classwork and asks clarifying questions when needed. Masanje also gives honest answers to teachers and peers, showing good integrity in her daily interactions. Masanje always greets others with a smile and has a cheery disposition at the start of every day. She is well liked by her peers and cares deeply about fostering her relationships with her friends. Masanje is loyal and trustworthy. She is kind and always willing to help others. Outside of school, Masanje enjoys playing with friends and spending time with her family. She is well versed in multiple languages, including her native language, Mandingo, and English. She is currently learning French as well as Arabic letters in her free time outside of school. But when asked about what her most favorite activity was, immediately she named cooking. She enjoys cooking with her mom in the kitchen, and they create dishes such as couscous and plantain. Whether you've known Masanje for years or you're just meeting her tonight for the first time, her infectious smile will most definitely bring joy to your day. It is with great honor I recognize our Elementary Student of the Month, Masanje Dukley.
Let's all rise for our pledges as students will lead us.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice and for all.
Honor the Texas flag.
I
Pledge allegiance to the Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
And parents, we do share all of the recognition pictures out on our Facebook page, so if you're looking for pictures. We would ask the Rubio family to stay. We have a surprise, a special award for Gustavo tonight. Almost 5 years ago, we started presenting our first Forney Family Awards. They were created to honor student, staff, or community members or partners who demonstrate Forney values through an individual act of service to the district, campus, staff, or students. While we have honored many groups over the years, because usually groups come together to run clothing drives and things like that, only twice in the history, with Gustavo being the second, have we ever honored an individual student for their act of service. So tonight, it is my privilege to recognize Gustavo for saving a fellow student's life. We are so excited, too, to say that the Rockwall Fire Department is here with Chief Cullens. We want to invite them up to join us for the picture this evening. We'd also like to have our North Forney staff and family. There are so many people who are just so excited that they know you, Gustavo, and that they think you're a celebrity. So they all want to be in the picture with you. We couldn't let him leave tonight without knowing just how incredible his actions were. And as they mentioned earlier, his story is going to be featured on CBS 11 tomorrow. And thankful to the boy's life that he saved, they both agreed to actually release the security footage of Gustavo saving the student's life. So it will be featured in the story tomorrow. And it is garnering national attention. So I'm told that after tomorrow, we may be getting a call from Gayle King with CBS National, as she would also like to interview Gustavo.
We've got a lot more recognitions, so we're going to move on then to item 4. 4A is, I'd like to ask Ms. Janae Glanton to come up, as she'll be speaking about Texas Dance Educators Association.
Good evening, board members, Dr. Terry, guests. The FISD Fine Arts Department is proud to recognize our curricular dance and extracurricular drill teams for this incredible school year. In March, our middle school and high school curricular dance students competed in the Texas Dance Educators Association Deal Assessment. This is the dance equivalent to state UIL for our Dance 1 students. Brown Middle School is here representing all FISD Deal participants this evening. All of our FISD Curricular Dance 1 classes earned superior ribbons at the TDEA Deal Assessment March 2023. This is the first time in Forney ISD history that all of our Dance 1 groups have earned superior ribbons. Joining us this evening are the winners from Brown Middle School TDEA Deal Assessment. Congratulations, students. Forney High School Dance hosted the TDA Deal Assessment for all middle school and high school curricular dance groups. We are very proud of our dance students. All FISD drill teams competed in the Texas Competitive Dance Circuit, winning top honors in multiple dance categories around the state and the nation. This evening, we will begin our recognitions with the North Forney Sapphire Strutters. The North Forney Sapphire Strutters earned several awards this competitive season, including Officer Awards, Best in Class in every dance category, jazz, contemporary, lyrical, pom, prop, hip hop, Grand Champion Officers, Grand Champion Team, Gussie Nell Davis Award and Sweepstakes, score of 93 or better on all dances, and best in class small medium team. I'd also like to take a moment to congratulate our North Forney Sapphire Strutter director, Miss Becca Butler, for Best of the Best Director. North Forney High School hosted the Showtime International Spring Spectacular with over 22 schools and 400 participating dancers. So they are not only preparing for these contests, but hosting them themselves. Congratulations to our Sapphire Strutters. The Forney High School High Steppers and JV teams won several awards in their competitive circuit this year, including HTE JV National Champions, the first time in history, HTE National Champions Medium Team, National Champions Select Team, and many more awards in their competitive circuit. The Forney High Steppers Elite Team earned a National Dance Association bid. They finished 6th in the nation for their game day at Nationals. Just some statistics for you. At the NDA National event, there were 2,800 dancers, 3,500 spectators, 34 states, and FHS was the only participating team from the DFW area. Congratulations to our FHS High Steppers. The Warren Middle School Star Steppers also earned national and state awards this year. Winning state and national level awards at the American Dance Nationals and Showtime Dance Contest. We have our national champion Star Steppers in Lyrical and Officers, Team Jazz National Champion, and Team Novelty National Champion. Outstanding Director, Peyton Hayes. All right, our Brown Middle School Ruby Bells and our Jackson Middle School Jewels also earned state level recognitions this year at the Showtime Spring Spectacular. Our Brown Middle School Ruby Bells earned first in their division, and our Jackson Middle School Jewels earned second place in Palm and runner-up in Jazz. And with us this evening is the Jackson Middle School Jewels. This was their first year competing in this contest, and again, they earned second place pom and runner-up in jazz. Congratulations to all our curricular dance and extracurricular drill teams.
Okay, we're moving on to our second group to recognize here. I'd like to ask Ms. Sarah Smith, Director of Future Readiness, to come and recognize our next group.
Good evening. Thank you, Mr. Ferris, Dr. Terry, and the board for allowing me to come up and present these awards, and they can all come in at the same time. Thank you. And tonight I have the honor of recognizing our FFA students that placed at both the Fort Worth Stock Show and Rodeo and the Kaufman County Fair. This is an amazing accomplishment for these students and shows all the hard work and dedication that they have put into it. We are so proud of them, and congratulations to all of these students. I'm going to get theirs as well, so give them a round of applause.
Next, we're going to move on to our staff recognitions. I'd like to call Dr. Judy Weber, Chief of Learning Officer, to the podium for these next recognitions.
Mr. Ferris and Dr. Terry, it's always an honor to recognize our teachers each year. You cannot ask for a better group of people, hardworking, who love our kids, and they do a great job every day. So teachers, when I call your name, if you'll come up and stand at the front and bring your beautiful certificates and your plaques, we'll call up the elementary Teachers of the Year first. So before we get to that, I think we actually have a really awesome video to show. Audience, wait for this. hopefully you enjoyed that, seeing a little bit of their beautiful smiling faces. So I'm going to call up our elementary, we'll take a photo, and then we'll get secondary after that. So I'd love to have Mulaney Melker come up from Blackburn. From Claiborne, Joan Garrett. From Criswell, Blanca Lester. From Crosby, Lori Melandricolo. And from Griffin, Micah Goldsmith. And from Henderson, Kelly Parker. From Johnson, Peyton Marsh. From Lewis, Anna DiGirolamo. From Ray, Kimberly Kelly. From Rhodes, Kelly Redding. From Smith, Chelsea Smith. And from Willett, Melissa Baruder. Congratulations to our Elementary Teachers of the Year. And now for secondary. From Brown Middle School, Gaisha Lucky. From Jackson, Corey Graves. For Warren, we had Tiffany Olson. From Forney High School, Reed Cook. For North Forney High School, Angelique Ortiega. And from Forney Learning Academy, Richard Haynes. And recently, we had an independent panel of judges with representatives from business, community, and retired educators interview all of these phenomenal teachers, and they selected 2 District Teachers of the Year. And so I'd like to reintroduce Kimberly Kelly from Ray and Corey Graves from Jackson as our District Teachers of the Year. Thank you very much.
Next, moving on to item C, we'll move on to Community and Business Partners. Ms. Susan Johnson, Executive Director, Strategic Partnerships, will present at this time.
Thank you, Mr. President, Dr. Terry and Board. As you know, the Opportunity Central of Forney Independent School District is designed to provide an innovative and purpose-driven career education. One way we are offering innovative opportunities includes partnering with select businesses. The business leaders here tonight have all agreed that our students and community are worth investing in. They will each be opening an extension of their business inside of the OC to share their knowledge and provide real-world opportunities for students to participate in practicums and gain valuable insight into the professional careers that have taken them years to build. These partners will supplement the classroom experience in career-focused programs such as entrepreneurship, marketing and sales, hospitality and event planning, design and multimedia arts, digital communications, and fashion design. As they are called to the front, please feel free to bring your friends and family for individual pictures, and then we'll do one group photo. So if you will please welcome our very first TRW Boutique, otherwise known as the Rancher's Wife. TRW Boutique is a specialty retailer offering the latest styles in women's and juniors apparel, shoes, accessories, and gift items. Owners are Amy and Dalton Wiley. And next we have a familiar place to many of us, Latham Bakery, featuring our downtown favorite soups, sandwiches, salads, and baked goods. And they will open a cake shop featuring custom, yes. Featuring custom designed cakes, owners Melinda and Mitch Latham. The next business is new to the area, but the owners are very much favorites around here. Royal Tee is going to offer direct-to-garment t-shirt printing and design services. This is from our friends at Smoothie King in Forney, owners Joe and Christina Saldana. Thank you. The last one that we are going to announce this evening, certainly not the last, but the last one this evening is one that we have received so many social media reactions to, and I think that you will as well. We are so proud to welcome Southern Social Eatery, featuring Southern Comfort Food and Catering Services. Owners are Jonelle and Rolanda Worthen. Now we'll do one group picture. One group picture with all the partners. Thank you guys so much. Thank you.
This time, we'll take a 5-minute recess, and thank you all for being here tonight. Thank you for that time to celebrate all those accomplishments tonight, and all you that came to celebrate with them. We're going to move on now with starting the reports, item 6. First was 6A, we got master planning update. Ms. Kim Morsack, Chief Operations Officer.
Thank you, Mr. Ferris. I gave Jeff Fisher the night off with Gallagher, so you guys are stuck with me. So I'm going to start actually with some some exciting pictures to show you guys. We have some finalized renderings of the OC play area, and so I just want to share those with you guys. They're coming out really, really nicely. I think we had a pre-con last week to get started on the construction. So this is kind of the entrance. If you look on the right, there's a little door for the kids where they can go in, and we're calling it OC Junior. So there's 2 portions of this. There's a main street with all these different little buildings, and they kind of mimic what's in the OC. Here's kind of just a cutaway of one. It shows construction with part of the building done and part of the building not done, where the kids can actually put wires through the conduit and have some integrated play inside. It shows down what shows downtown Dallas in the background and a little bit of Forney in the foreground. There's a whole lot of different buildings. And then on the other side is the Central Park. So this is the play area. You know that's a very tall space, and so this goes up pretty high. Little cubbies for the kids. The netting there is netting that surrounds this. We just don't render that out, don't worry. So it is surrounded by netting. And if you look on the far right, that's actually an area for larger human beings to be able to climb up to retrieve the smaller human beings who may be pretty high, not wanting to come down. And this is a view from the other side. There is an inclusive play area on the left. They're still working on some of the renderings, like that helicopter. That's probably going to look a little bit different, but really cool area. It's going to be awesome for our pre-K kids as they learn and grow at the OC. So I'll move over into just our current projects, and Keithville Opportunity Central is the first one. It's coming along really nicely. They have everything under roof except for the very back of the arena. They still have half of that to pour. They have it on the books for Thursday, weather permitting. And then this weekend, they'll actually start flying rooftop units. So there'll be a helicopter out there, weather permitting once again, Friday and Saturday, flying rooftops. So sheetrock's up in almost all the second and third floor. The west side's a little further along than the east side. Really taking shape. The patio soffits, they have a metal panel that looks like wood. You can see those from the outside right now. They're both completed on each side. They've started the metal panel installation on the exterior. Once again, the west side's a little further along, so you can kind of see what that's going to look like with that metal cladding. Tile is up. Area H, which is the pre-K, is painted. Marker boards are in. Bathrooms are completed. They have the poured resinous floor, which is on the bottom right. Looks really, really nice in there. And then pretty much the tile is completed in the pre-K area. The Area H, the shelter, the Area H is pre-K. Roof is done in the arena, and like I said, they're starting to frame up in there and get the floor finished. Dewberry Elementary, I was able to walk that last week, I think, with the principal, Courtney Parker. Very exciting. She is super duper excited. The exterior brick is almost complete. Millwork is in, down in the first area. They're installing sidewalks now. The pop-ups, those little metal pop-ups are in progress. Really, really taking shape. They have one area left to get it completely in the dry. They've started a lot of the tile work in Area 1. You can see the middle, the Dewberry colors look really, really good behind the water fountain, the wet areas. Those are starting to take shape. Area 1 ceiling tiles are in. MEP's in progress, mechanical, electrical, and plumbing. So really taking shape at Dewberry, looking really good. Just a few more pictures. Rooftop units are in. North Forney Freshman Center, they have the steel up for the shelter. I think they're supposed to start panels this week or next week for the storm shelter this week. I think Thursday is the date that that's supposed to happen, so we'll start seeing that building take a little more shape. It doesn't look like a lot's happened, but the area that's the connector piece has a lot that's happened in there. They've done plumbing, electrical is all done in there. This is the decking is up, and then the steel, that's the shelter portion down there in the bottom right. Forney High School, same kind of thing. The bottom picture does not show it, but there is actually steel up at Forney High School as well. The connector piece, the green piece up at the top, that's the cafeteria expansion, the connector. It's in really good shape over there. MEP is almost done. They're about to start fire. Forney High School, Forney IC Transportation Center, they are starting the roof, I think this week. The metal panels are up. I think they're painting this week on the rest of the building. So that's really starting to take shape. We're hoping to be in there at the end of the month. Then Teamer. It doesn't look like a lot from the road, but a lot has happened at that site. The drive lanes are cleared, sewer installation's in progress. They have some of the grade beams formed up, and I think he's done with piers, or very close to done with drilling piers there. Warren's a little bit behind. You know, we still have the south lot there until we can get that out. So they've had a few challenges that Teamer hasn't had, but grading's completed. They had to move the primary electrical, that's complete. Some of the concrete work is done, and then the crawl space is installation is complete. So moving along at Warren as well. And that's the master planning update.
Thank you, Ms. Morzak. Lots of building going on as usual. Any questions from anybody?
I just have a quick question. You mentioned that Warren is running a little bit behind schedule.
Not behind schedule, just
Okay.
behind Teamer.
Behind him. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Any other questions? We'll move on then to item B, the monthly financial report. Now, how are we going to pay for all that, John?
Indeed. Tonight, the operating results through the month of February, it was included in your board package for review. Just in summary, and starting with the general fund, revenues year-to-date was $115.3 million, which is 76% of the amount estimated, and for prior comparative purposes, prior year, we were at 74% collected at this point. Year-to-date expenditures is $110.5 million, or 67% of the amount appropriated. For prior year, comparison purposes, again, we were at 64%. A little bit of variance there, the same as it has been in the past months. We have our capital outlay spending was a little faster in this year than it was in last year. But all in all, we're in pretty good shape. Moving on to food service, year-to-date revenue is $4.8 million, or 75% of the amount estimated. That's further broken down into $2 million was received from students for lunch and a la carte sales, and the other 2.7 was federal reimbursements. We served 91,000 meals for the month of February, and for prior year comparative purposes, we were at 76% collected, so really good shape there. Moving on to expenditures in the food service fund, $4 million year-to-date, which is 61% of the amount appropriated. Again, for comparative purposes, in the prior year, we were at 54%. And just like in the past board meetings, it's very difficult really to compare this year to last year because of the coronavirus pandemic. But when you go back to prior years when we had normal operations, we're about in the same spot that we're in currently this year. So in good shape overall. Moving on to debt service. Year-to-date revenue collected was $42.7 million, and that's 102% of the amount estimated. We actually collected a little more from the state and state assistance than I had originally projected. I think we had about $350,000 budgeted for homestead funding that we received whenever they increased the homestead exemption this last year. We actually were entitled to receive about $900,000, so we picked up another $600,000 or so in assistance from the state in our debt service fund. But Overall, we're in pretty good shape. Again, over 100% collected. Prior year, at the same point in time, we were at 97% collected. So, again, great shape in the debt service fund. Expenditures year to date was $34.5 million, and we're 100% expended at this point. February was the last really major activity we're going to have in debt service, so it's no surprise that we're 100% expended at this point. Shouldn't have any more activity really to report back to you in the debt service fund through the end of the fiscal year. And for, again, prior year comparative purposes, we're the same 100% expended at this point. And then finally, the cash and investments on hand at the end of February in the general fund, food service, debt service, and capital projects totaled $450, almost $5 million, the bulk of which is in our capital project funds. But that's the financial report. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer it. This is the time of the year that we normally update the board on our summaries of finances, and just by way of review, that's the report of the state issues on school funding that we're entitled to receive as a school district from the state of Texas. They start out the year, it's an estimate, and throughout the year that estimate gets revised with data that's passed to them periodically. We had a major data submission in October, and they got information off of that and updated the funding template, and you can review that to kind of see whether you've been over or underpaid for the year, so you can kind of know what to expect by year end. So just to kind of help you understand that report again, there's two columns. The first column is the legislative planning estimate. That's the column that they use to actually flow the funding to the district. So we'll receive what's listed in that column by the time August rolls around. And the district planning estimate side, or the DPE side, that's the column that gets revised over time with actual data elements that are used to actually determine what we're actually entitled to receive, and then you compare the two to figure out whether you've been over or underfunded for the year. And so up to this point in October, as I mentioned, we passed data to them, and they got our property value, our property tax collection budget out of that data submission. The tax property values that's used in the funding formula, they get that from the comptroller's office, and that's been updated. And they also get economically disadvantaged students that are enrolled in our district, and updated that value. And then they go and they estimate the amount of actual average daily attendance that they project that we'll have at the end of the year based on the enrollment that we sent to them in October. And so they're paying us right now on 14,216 students. They're estimating that we'll actually have 15,294 in average daily attendance. I think that's a little high. I think it's going to be more like 15,000 when it's all said and done, and that's what our revenue estimate is based upon. It was 15,000 rather than 15,294. And so, again, I mentioned they've already updated the property values in the funding formula. That's a very important piece of the formula. It's updated with actual values at this point. And then it comes down to the amount of assistance that they're saying that we would earn for the year. In the general fund, it's about $72 million, and almost about $0.9 million in debt service assistance, for a total of $72.9 million. And so, just wrapping it up at the last page of that report, you'll see on that row 7, that's basically what the state's projection of your over or underpayment. And at this point in time, they're suggesting that we'll be underpaid by $12.5 million. And so internally, we do our own estimates, and again, I mentioned that our ADA is probably going to be less than what they're showing in that DPE column. So we're still going to be underpaid by a pretty significant amount, but not underpaid by $12.5 million. It'll probably be somewhere around the $8.7 million range. We'll actually get those funds in sometime mid to late September, and so that's pretty much the summary of finance report. If there's any questions, I'd be happy to answer.
Thank you, Mr. Chase. Any questions or comments from the board? I hear none. Thank you very much. Next, moving on to item 7, This is public forum. The board will hear comments from the audience only during the public comment section of the meeting. Individuals wishing to speak must have added their name and topic to the public sign-up prior to the meeting tonight. We have 5 people who've signed up to address the board tonight. Notice some of them have the same topic, so if you want to individually speak or if you've chosen a spokesperson for you, that's fine. We'll read some information here from our attorney just to remind you of the procedures tonight. The board will allot 15 minutes for tonight's public comments portion of the meeting. Each speaker will be allowed 3 minutes to address the board. There will be a timer set when you begin. Please respect the privacy of others and refrain from identifying students, employees, or other community members by name. The board requests the comments be on any subject, whether positive or negative, be courteous and respectful. Disruptions of the meeting will not be tolerated at any time. Any speaker with a specific complaint about a district employee, a decision, or an operational issue should present the complaint through the appropriate mechanism, which is our district's formal grievance process. Speakers who provide details about a specific complaint will be stopped and will be referred to the district administration for information about the grievance process. The board may not respond to any comments made or questions asked from the public. So at this time, I have a packet here of different ones who've signed up, not in particular order. First one up tonight is Mr. Wayne Pullen. Mr. Pullen, as you begin tonight, the timer will start and it will go for 3 minutes.
Ready?
Yeah, go ahead.
All right, I'm here tonight to stand up against an out-of-control district. When I heard the story of Miss CJ and how after she reported sexual harassment and the district responded that her and other teachers' reports didn't really rise the level of sexual harassment, it really caught my attention. Because I heard the exact statement made by these same admins when I reported bullying and staff retaliation on my then 10-year-old child. I was asked to define bullying, and I was told a week of harassment and threats were not really a true bullying incident. This district went to the extent of contacting Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton to ask his office to block us, the parents, from viewing a video that would support or discredit our statements, and the district claimed to not want to release the bus footage as it would compromise the location of the cameras and possibly open them up to a domestic terrorism attack. They were ordered to provide the video but still chose not to do so. Although I sat here in this same public meeting and listened to a presentation that disclosed the exact location of those same cameras. These are the same admins Miss CJ is currently battling. These admins were more concerned about the social media posts going around than the true issue at hand. It's always about protecting the Forney ISD image. Speak up and we will retaliate seems to be what the community expects from this district. I do applaud those that take a stand against this out-of-control administration. I have zero faith in this district and administration. There's only one member of this board that, in my opinion, truly cares and stands up for what is right and has the best interest of our children, staff, community, and community as a whole. We need to vote in more people with that same integrity we have to quit voting in these long-sitting members that continue to do nothing and are just a yes man. I don't like what's happening in this district, so I feel the need to stand up for what's right. That's all we have asked of the leaders of this district, and we have seen no accountability and no change. All these issues start at the top. We need admins with integrity in here, otherwise we will continue to keep getting the same terrible results. Integrity is doing the right thing even when no one is looking. That's what the community wants and expects from our school district. It is a slap in the public's face to ignore these serious issues and then have an agenda item to nominate this district's leader as superintendent of the year. I pray something tonight in this public forum convicts your heart to do the right thing. Thank you.
Our next speaker is Carolyn Jordan. Okay. Ms. Jordan, if you would.
Thank you.
Here you go. Ms. Jordan, as you begin speaking, the timer will begin.
Well, to alleviate all confusion, my name is Carolyn Jordan. My students called me Mrs. CJ. I am also the reason why the district doesn't like CBS very much. Came to my house to interview me. So up until 2 weeks ago, I was a medical terminology teacher at North Forney High School. When I accepted the position, my grandmother told me that I was living her dream. She always wanted to be a teacher. It was my dream job too, and she passed away 2 months later, and I can't help but be grateful that she doesn't have to witness that this dream turned into a nightmare for me. I'm not sure how much I'm allowed to say because I was not told that I would be stopped if I talked about specific grievances, but I'm not necessarily surprised and just disappointed. So if that is a problem, please drop all formal grievances because I have a phone call April 16th with the Office of Civil Rights with an attorney since I took the steps I needed to that the district would not help me do. So over the last 6 months, several female staff members, including myself, were sexually harassed by a male coworker. Forney ISD's administration's response was both inadequate and negligent. Despite multiple complaints, no formal Title IX or Title VII investigation was ever conducted. I was informed that the district had decided that my experiences were not severe enough to be sexual harassment, and I was told through a lawyer, through their lawyer, that the purpose of this was so that they didn't have to file a Title IX complaint. I was told this was for my own safety. I repeatedly asked to file a Title IX complaint. I don't understand. But I don't believe that. I've heard from more than 20 former staff and students who have had almost identical situations spanning from 2005 with the same Title IX coordinator. I loved my job. I loved my students more than anything. As a first-year teacher, I commuted an hour each way from Wiley to Forney, and I helped sponsor 3 after-school clubs. I stayed with a student unpaid for 140 hours over winter break to help them make up credit hours. Quitting my job and speaking out about what happened to me is the hardest thing that I've ever had to do, but our staff and students deserve to be safe at our schools. I cannot say that they are under the current leadership. And despite what the administration would like for you to believe, it's not the fault of the students. Metal detectors may keep out weapons, but what about the danger that comes in the form of a trusted educator or administrator that takes advantage of the vulnerable with no consequences?
Thank you, Ms. Jordan. Our next speaker, Erica Price.
You may or may not be aware, but I have been supportive of our ISD for years. I started a Forney Moms group that currently has membership of over 4,000, and we all want what's best for our families. I have occasionally denied a post or requested a post be rephrased so that it would not become a thread of gripes and vengeance, but one that could be productive and elicit answers to help the mom better navigate her situation. I have squashed rumors and reiterated district communications. When there is a need, I try to be a part of the solution. I have volunteered since my freshman entered kindergarten and even stepped into the role of PTO president for Smith's last year as elementary because there was no one on the PTO, and I built a team in 6 weeks and we had an epic year at Smith. Clearly, I am not anti-Forney ISD. I want everyone who desires to utilize public school to have that opportunity and know that their kid is being well taken care of while with the district. Over the last couple of years, I have become disheartened to hear people say that Forney ISD doesn't care. While I hope capturing kids' hearts is successful for the district also needs to focus on capturing parents' hearts. I hear report after report of parents trying to approach their concerns through appropriate and reasonable channels to only feel that they're never receiving a resolution to their concern. In the last 6 weeks, we have had 2 events make national news. There are 2 sides to every story was a statement that was made in one press release, while there is no side of a story that would ever make what happened to the child okay. It was insensitive and widened the gap that must be traversed to earn back the trust of parents. The second event involved a teacher who resigned, according to the district. There was multiple outcries against this teacher, and possibly by at least one student. As a parent, I want to know when there have been allegations on my child's campus of sexual misconduct. I need the district to attempt to notify when there's something of this nature that has occurred. We have a vested interest in keeping our kids safe, and we need the communication of the district to be more transparent. The way things have been done up till this point appear to be attempts to save face. However, the more incidents that continue to occur that we learn about on social media or the news, the more the trust will be broken. Please rethink the policies around what will be shared with parents and what will not. We need to know that we are respected as parents and that you honor our positions as our child's #1 advocate and protector. We need our school board to have a relationship with the community, and we as parents need to believe that you actually care about our children and our desire to raise kids who are not only physically safe, but emotionally safe as well. It's time to evaluate, it's time to pivot, it's time for change.
Our next person is Clarissa Rabin.
Good evening. To all the students that came here tonight, I want to tell you that I appreciate you. I'm here to support each and every one of you. Ms. Johnson, I'm here to support you too. To the school board members, my name is Clarissa Rabin, and I'm just, up until this year, I've been a parent here in Forney ISD. I try to work with my child's school. My child is one of those that is receiving special education services here. And I'll tell you this, I am a 16-year retired registered nurse, and I retired because of Forney ISD. I retired so that I could help our kids, and I opened up a business so that I could make sure that our children are getting the services they need. I can make sure that the staff is getting the support they need. And I'm telling you, Forney ISD, if you don't want the Office of Civil Rights marching through every door in this district, y'all need to get it together. We have playgrounds in this district that have not been accessible to children with disabilities, and the law went into effect in 1990. Why is it 2023 and we don't have that? Why are our teachers begging to have help and support in the classrooms with these children, yet you refuse to pay the paraprofessionals so that they can come and they can work with these students? Why are we have children that are supposed to be getting special education services that don't get it for 3 and 4 months, and we don't find out until we get into an IEP meeting, and then we start grilling them, and then we find out that our children have been denied services? But when they don't pass the STAR test, you'll punish them with HB 4545, right? And when they don't make your district benchmarks, you'll punish the teachers and tell them they don't deserve a raise. But does anybody look down in the trenches to see what's happening with these kids? I watch all of these Forney Friday videos, and I watch all of these great things, and we're bragging about new buildings, but where are you when the kids are needing help? Why are you not supporting the teachers? And why are you quietly letting people go so that you can go continue to prey on women and children in other districts? Because that's how that teacher got here. Fix it. These kids trust you. And these kids have more integrity and more backbone and more gumption than the adults sitting at this board meeting today. Who is protecting these children? I'm going to tell you this. In the next 15 years, these are kids that have been supported, and they're going to come and they'll get rid of every single one of you. So I'm telling you now, y'all need to get it together. The parents are uniting. I'm here. I'm advocating, and I will take every single complaint to the Office of Civil Rights. I'm not going through your grievances. I don't care about them. I don't care about your state-written complaints. You can't fix a broken system in a broken system. And we're here for change.
The next person is Kason Gentry. Okay. So Kason, just like the others, the clock will start when you begin.
Okay. If I may, I would like to say something before the clock started. I want to thank Ms. CJ for inviting me to this event, and I want to thank my mom and my girlfriend for supporting me. My name is Kason Gentry. I am a sophomore at North Forney High School, and I want to represent and act as a voice for the students. I'm with Ms. Jordan, coming out with her experience with Forney ISD admin staff. I've decided to share an experience a friend had. Last year, they got sexually assaulted by another student when they wore a skirt. When they reported this incident to an administration, they claimed their cameras were not real. During this year, they went to admin's office for a separate matter, and she saw cameras in a clear shot of a spot where she was assaulted. Not only do we feel uncomfortable to be in this school with these lockdown rules, we also don't feel safe enough to tell adults that are supposed to protect us when we feel in danger. Another thing we feel angry about is the dress code. In Ms. Jordan's email, she explains that during new teacher orientation, one of the higher-ups in the school said they have the dress code in place because they don't want the students to look like skanks. Obviously, this shows where their priorities are. Even though we force y'all to listen, we're not getting nothing but punishments. To say I'm outraged with this district would be an understatement. You also gave false statements to the news saying there wasn't an organized walkout, even though I have screenshots of an account telling everyone the plan. Y'all also said there was no walkout, and it was a passing period, even though everyone in the school knew it was a walkout. It is sad we're having these issues in a place where we're supposed to be safe and get our education. I hope you will consider what I'm saying and talk about the state of the school instead of focusing on your reputation of the school. Thank you.
Thank you all very much for your comments tonight. At this time, we'll move on to item number 8, consent agenda. 8A is approve the minutes of the March 13th regular board meeting. 8B is approve the budget amendment. 8C is approve the TEKS verification. 8D is approve the TASB policy update 120. 8E is approve the construction bids, and 8F is approve an interlocal purchase agreement. The board may take action on each item separately or collectively. Do I have a motion from the board? Ms. Payton has made a motion. Do I have a second? Second. I have a second, Ms. Burkhalter. All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? And I hear none. Moving on to item 9, consideration and possible approval of resolution for national dance, music, and theater in our public schools. At this time, Ms. Kristen Zastapool will present this resolution.
Ms. Zastapool, will you turn your mic on? Thanks.
And here I was. I should know the green light, what the green light means. Throughout the month of March, Forney ISD celebrated Dance, Music, and Theater in Our Schools Month as recognized by the National Dance Educators Organization, the American Alliance for Theater Education, Educational Theater Association, and National Association of Music Merchants. The arts support and help grow thousands of students in Forney ISD. That is why we celebrate Dance, Music, and Theater in Our Schools Month. This month was designated to raise awareness of the benefits of the arts and celebrate the students and teachers who partake in fine arts education. We ask the board to consider adopting the resolution presented before you, recognizing March as the official Dance, Music, and Theater in Our Schools Month.
So, Board, you've heard the resolution. Do I have a motion? Thank you, Ms. Dobbs. Do I have a second? Second. Ms. Bateman, all in favor say aye. Aye. Okay, thank you very much. Any opposed? I hear none. So moved. Moving on to item 10, Ms. Kristen Zastapel presents the resolution for Superintendent of the Year nomination.
Sure. Since 1984, the Superintendent of the Year Award Program has honored outstanding administrators for achievement and excellence in public school administration. These school leaders exhibit exemplary and visionary leadership toward improving student performance. They are chosen for their strong leadership skills, dedication to improving the quality of education in their districts, and commitment to public support and involvement in education. One of the application requirements to be considered for Superintendent of the Year is to include a resolution indicating the board's decision to nominate the superintendent. We are asking the board to consider adopting the resolution before you for Forney ISD to officially nominate Dr. Justin Terry for the Texas Association of School Boards Superintendent of the Year Award.
Thank you, Ms. Zastapel. Do I have any questions or comments from the board?
I have some comments, actually, related to this. And I'll preface first by saying that my thoughts are all centered around the timing of this. I've got 4 different topics that I want to talk about. When I think about where a district sits currently as we're recovering from the aftermath of COVID, our accountability rating has dropped from an A to a B. I also understand there's a lot of contributing variables to that, but I've also seen our neighboring districts that have been able to sustain and in some cases even improve their ratings throughout the pandemic. I believe in Forney we're adding some great programs and support geared towards improving student performance, but we've not yet seen the fruits of that labor from a data perspective. The next thing is I think we've got to address our educators' needs holistically so that we improve our position in the competitive landscape. While I realize salaries are a big part of the pie, there's more we need to do from a total comp package and support structure. I hear time and time again that our teachers are taxed and maxed out. It's apparent they need to be able to have a voice, to be heard, so that they can get the help they truly need. Getting to the root of that and solving for it will help us move the needle in retaining and attracting top talents so students have a stable educational environment to support their academic growth. I also have a concern, and I've outlined in previous correspondence, that our community has a voice when it pertains to our children. Some of the recent situations that resulted in negative media exposure and much of our community has expressed that we as an ISD appear to be tone deaf. Public perception is definitely an area we need to focus on improving, especially in order to truly be considered exemplary as highlighted in this nomination. And finally, I've shared my own feedback as a parent and now as a member of the board. Before I can support voting for this nomination, I'd like to witness a receptiveness to other perspectives and willingness to adjust or try a different way. I've not seen that. So while I realize my vote tonight's only one and won't make a difference in the final outcome, I do stand firm that the climate we're in right now does not align with the timing of this.
Any other comments from the board, or do I have a motion?
Mr. Ferris, I make a motion that the board approve the resolution for the Superintendent of the Year nomination.
I have a motion from Ms. Bateman. Do I have a second?
Second.
Ms. Dobbs, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
No.
Hear no from Mrs. Burkhalter, be recorded, please. The motion passes with majority. Moving on to item 11, consideration and possible approval of resolution against vouchers, education savings accounts, taxpayer savings grants, and other mechanisms that reduce public educator funding. At this time, I'd like to ask Dr. Terry to go to the podium for a presentation.
Thank you, Mr. Ferris. As many of you know, public education savings accounts, vouchers, school choice is a big topic of conversation in Austin at this time in this legislative session. School choice and parents' rights are a very important aspect to educating our children in a successful way. At this time, we would like to recommend a resolution, however, to keep public funding in public schools. And so at this time, I'd like to read this resolution and recommend approval of this resolution this evening. Whereas Article 7, Section 1 of the Texas Constitution requires that the Texas legislature establish and make a suitable provision for the support and maintenance of an efficient system of public free schools. Whereas Texas public school districts accept every student. Whereas educational savings accounts and other voucher schemes give private schools, not parents, the right to choose. Whereas Texas public schools adhere to state-mandated academic and financial accountability standards. Whereas private schools are not required to meet the same academic standards as public schools, and they do not report test results, graduation rates, and other performance measures to the public. Whereas school choice already exists in Texas via public school districts, charter schools, inter- and intra-district transfers, home schools, virtual schools, and private schools. Whereas educational savings accounts and similar voucher schemes eliminate public accountability of schools and tax dollars. Whereas using tax dollars to pay for tuition at private and religious schools would grow into a costly entitlement program. Whereas a taxpayer-funded voucher program would reduce the amount of state funds available for all schools, harming many rural Texas communities where families have few, if any, private school options. And whereas Texas parents who accept a voucher would lose out on a long list of important parental rights outlined in Texas State Education Code and in federal law, especially protections for students receiving special education services. Now therefore be it resolved that Forney ISD, the Board of Trustees, calls on the Texas legislature to reject any diversion of public dollars to private entities in the form of educational savings accounts and similar voucher schemes. Board, I come to you tonight recommending approval of this resolution and taking a stand to keep public dollars in public schools for our students and teachers. We offer many, many choice opportunities within our school district, and choices are offered throughout many opportunities throughout the state of Texas as listed in the resolution. So, Mr. Ferris, Board, at this time I would recommend approval of this resolution as presented.
Thank you for Dr. Terry. Are there any questions from the board? I would say this is a resolution that came from Texas Association of School Boards and recommended that all public school districts pass this resolution. So we would like to take a stand with them. Do I have a motion?
Mr. Ferris, I move the board approve the motion as presented.
I have a motion from Ms. Bateman. Do I have a second? Second. Mr. Johnson, all in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? And I hear none. Thank you, Dr. Terry, for your leadership in that. Moving on to item 12, consideration and possible approval of employee compensation plan. Mr. John Chase will come back to the podium, please.
Thank you, Mr. Ferris. As pretty well detailed outlined in our budget workshop tonight, we're bringing the employee compensation plan forward tonight for consideration. This plan, as we mentioned, does include a minimum hourly rate for the entry-level positions in the district at $15. That would be the lowest amount that we would pay any employee. We'd also recommend a 5% general pay increase for the other folks that are not affected by the $15 an hour minimum. Those salary schedules are included in your board book for review, and our recommendation is, while we wish we could do more, this is what we believe that we can afford as a district at this time, and that's our recommendation, that we approve those.
Thank you, Mr. Chase. As we all know, this is, we don't know our funding yet, as the state is still in session and a lot of changes going on in Austin. So we appreciate all the hard work you've put in to make this presentation tonight. Any other questions from the board? Okay, Dr. Terry, you have any further comments?
Yes, sir. We did have a teacher committee come together to look at our compensation and benefits, and have taken into account a lot of their recommendations. We're excited to come to you tonight. This is probably one of the largest increases, especially for our auxiliary staff, our custodial staff, our nutrition workers, our aides, that we've been able to put in front of you since I've been here. And it is very exciting to be able to bring this to you. As Mr. Chase said, these people are invaluable, from our teachers to our custodians throughout this district. They help keep this place running, and they are invaluable. I wish we could do more. Obviously, they all deserve probably a 50% raise, but I think tonight is something that they'll all be excited about. So we would recommend approval of this compensation plan tonight for retention and recruitment of new staff. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Terry. Do I have a motion from the board? Have a motion from Mr. Johnson. May I have a second, please?
Second.
Ms. Bateman, thank you very much. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? I hear none. So moved. Next is closed session. Item number 13. Closed session 3A is deliberating regarding the review of board operating procedures pursuant to Texas Government Code 551074. 13B is deliberate regarding ratification of employment of professional contract personnel pursuant to Texas Government Code 551074 personnel matters. 13C is deliberation regarding ratification of reemployment of professional contract personnel pursuant to Texas Government Code 551074. 13D is deliberating regarding the pursuant of sanctions for educative abandonment of contract pursuant to Texas Government Code 551074. E is consultation with attorney pursuant to Texas Government Code 551071. And F, deliberation regarding potential purchase acquisition of real property, Texas Government Code 551072. It is now 8:38 p.m. We'll be in closed session. Okay, it's now 9:17, and I'll call this back into open session with item 14. A consideration possible approval regarding ratification employment of professional contract personnel. Do I have a motion from the board?
Mr. Ferris, I make a motion the board approve the reemployment.
I have a motion from Ms. Dobbs. Do I have a second?
Second.
Katrina? And all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? I hear none. Item 15, consider.
I'm going to clarify that.
Yep.
I think I was on the next one. I'm going to amend that to say the reemployment of contract personnel. Ratification.
Okay.
If that matters.
You want
Okay.
to just state it again?
Yeah.
Just the full motion.
Just read your motion from 14. From the.
You got it? Here you go.
Sorry, I have it in my stack.
Here you go.
Make a motion the board approve the ratification of employment of professional contract personnel discussed.
Okay, motion by Ms. Dobbs. For second, Ms. Burkhalter. All in favor say aye.
Aye. They were very similar.
Any opposed? And I hear none. Moving on to 15, consideration possible approval regarding the re-employment of professional contract personnel. Do I have a motion?
Ferris, I move the board approve the reemployment of professional contract personnel as discussed in closed session.
Okay. Motion, Mr. Johnson. Do I have a second?
Second.
Ms. Bateman. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And I hear none. Item 16, there'll be no action tonight. Item 17, there is no action tonight. 18, you see the dates of upcoming events and things. Please make note there. There's not any changes. Should be the same ones you had in the board book. Moving on to 19, it is now 9:19, and I'll call this meeting adjourned.